This episode is intended for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Meow,
Hey, I'm Clarissa, and I'm this week's special guest on This Frequency.
Welcome to another episode, Kittens and Cats. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Bartley.
Ricky's not here. And I'm excited to have Clarissa, my cousin, who will be sitting with us to talk about what one endures when they become a young parent. My first memory of Clarissa was her wearing some pink cowboy boots and a hat. I can't remember the exact outfit, but she was dancing to some cartoon on TV. And based on her personality at her young age of probably about 6 or so, I thought, oh, this girl's definitely my relative. And then I thought she's going to be unapologetically herself and do whatever her little heart desires. And now here she is sitting with us. She's a licensed massage therapist. Are you licensed? Working on it.
I'm certified for the state of California, but I'm working on my license.
There you go. Thanks, girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Reiki practitioner.
Yeah, I learned Reiki 1.
Ooh.
So.
Okay, girl. She's 21 and a mom to 10-month-old Indy, and she is actively breaking generational traumas at home. But before we get into all of that jazz, here is our first moment of laughter from Christelle Alonso.
That healthy food is so expensive, and how do they justify it? How do they justify it? Now they tell you the life story of every animal you're about to eat at the store. You walk down the aisle, it's like Ancestry.com for cows. Every animal has its story. Oh, this milk is hormone-free. This beef is grass-fed. This chicken is cage-free. Fuck, these animals had a better childhood than I did. I grew up in the hood. I had bars in my window, but this chicken was cage-free. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so good.
Wasn't it?
Okay, that's my favorite part.
But I never thought to think about it that way, of like the story of the animal. It's cage free. It's this, it's that. We are so caught up in our labels here, and that shit makes all of the difference in pricing at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Absolutely. The more labels they can put on it, the more they can charge.
And I am that person paying for that shit. Oh, it's fucking cage free. Let me pay $7.99 for these eggs. It's totally worth it.
Or it's organic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say organic milk is so much better than the other shit. So I will buy the organic milk.
You know what? I don't drink regular cow's milk, but I do notice a significant difference in the taste of blueberries when they're organic versus when they're not.
Yes.
They just taste different.
Everything tastes
different.
Yeah.
You don't taste the GMOs. And they're a lot smaller because they're not supposed to be freakishly huge.
Right. So it's such a wild thing. But anyway, that was Christelle Alonso from the special about Netflix is a Joke. So moving along, thank you again, Clarissa, for coming out and having this conversation with me. Mm-hmm. We don't have Ricky Lee today, unfortunately, but that's okay because she's doing big girl things. She got a job and all this shit. She's got things to do. So Bartley might be chiming in a little more. We might just carry this conversation. Who knows? But let's have some fun, right?
Well, if it's anything like the conversation last week, I won't be chiming in. But
well, yeah, this is true.
Yeah, last week was kind of awkward, but I think we got past that, so I should chime in a little bit more this week.
This is true. Last week was all about the periods. Bartley couldn't relate, so
I couldn't relate, and I was kind of mildly like uncomfortable back here, just like
yeah, for sure. But Clarissa, being a young person, for me, it's important for me to mention that, and the importance of talking to the youth. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily to make sure that they're staying in line, but personally, it has never failed me that somebody younger than I am is showing me their vulnerability, fueling me with knowledge, or a conversation that I needed to reflect on in order to heal or make a decision for myself. Clarissa affirmed something for me early on in my pregnancy. It was about trusting my intuition. We talked a little bit about the unexplainable certainty about the gender of our babies. So I think you had asked me, it was pretty early on. I don't think I had found out the gender yet. And you were asking me, like, so do you have any idea like what you might be having? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a boy. And then you just clarified, like, girl, if you think it's a boy, it is. It is.
I just knew I was going to have a girl. Even though, like, a part of me was like, oh, it'd be cool if I had a boy. No, I just knew. It was like my destiny. I'm just like, look at me, look at my family. It's all girls. I'm going to have a girl.
It's funny because I, too, was over here sitting like, oh, well, I'm just going to pick all of these girl names. But inside, I knew that I was having a boy. So Clarissa also put me on to Dolores Cannon, a woman who specializes in the recovery and cataloging of lost knowledge, created a unique method of hypnosis for healing and past life regression known as quantum healing hypnosis technique. All of that to say that if the older generations would receive the youth with a little more curiosity, we could potentially accept and accomplish more. So thank you for all of those things, Clarissa. We're at least, 11 years apart. And
are we? How old are you?
I'm 32.
32?
And you're 21?
So 11.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Look at you guys doing math. Look at you.
Sorry, it's been a while.
But I just think it's awesome that the age doesn't matter. I'm learning something from you. I hope that you're learning something from me. I don't know.
I'm always learning something because you and my aunt are like the same generation.
Yeah.
And I look up to her a lot. She was like my big sister kind of. So I look up to you guys a lot.
She's one of my favorite cousins. Shout out to Marlene.
We love you, Marlene.
We love her. And so girls, we're here to talk about generational traumas and how you're breaking these generational curses at home, and more specifically around being a young parent, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you're 10 months into this parenting thing, right? At least.
Yes.
How do you feel, or how has it been for you?
Honestly, it's nothing that I really expected. Like, being a parent, people will tell you like, oh, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. Well, it's at the end of the day, it's your own journey, but it was definitely not what I expected at all. Being a parent. Yeah. Like, they're not kidding when it says it takes a village to help you. It takes a village. Like, if it wasn't for, my boyfriend, his family, my immediate family, especially like my mom and my sister, I honestly I don't know how I'd be surviving. Yeah. It's hard.
How difficult was it for you to have a baby during this whole COVID epidemic?
It was scary because I actually had COVID when I was 6 months pregnant. It was December of 2020, and it was before they had any vaccines or whatever, and I got sick. Everyone in the house got COVID because winter, everyone just gets sick. Right. It was either flu, allergies. I don't know if I have COVID, and
then you add the actual COVID on top of that.
So it was kind of scary, but once I got sick, I felt a little better knowing I had the antibodies. But I don't know, it wasn't as scary when I was in the delivery room because I feel like around that time was when everything started to slowly, not be as bad as it was when it first began, March of 2020.
Yeah.
So.
And you had your baby, was it May of 2021?
Yeah, May of 2021.
Okay, so by this point, things are kind of starting to mellow down.
Yes.
It's cool.
I know some hospitals, I think around that time, Kaiser was allowing 2 people to be in the room. I know the hospital I was at was only allowing 1 person, but they were starting to, be more lenient. I didn't have to wear my mask at all.
Oh, that's good.
The nurse was like, you don't have COVID, you can keep it off if you want. So that really helped.
Oh, I like that. Well,
that,
that kind of puts me at ease, too.
Yeah, it's reassuring.
Because, we walk around with these masks on, and I'm like, I can't breathe.
No, especially being pregnant. It was so hard. Especially that last month, trying to, exercise and walk. And, I'm trying to, go to the mall because there's AC, and I'm dying in this mask.
Right.
And it's hot, and I'm like, let me just go to the car at this point. I'm so irritated.
Oh, my gosh. So what about... So you were talking about that you weren't expecting this whole the parenting situation being it does take a village. So did you go into this thinking like I got this, I'm gonna do this on my own, nobody helped
Well,
me, or what was your mindset at
I
that
knew
point?
it wasn't gonna be like easy breezy. Like I've been around my mom. She had my little sister. Like my dad's family, my aunts just having kids left and right.
Right.
So like I had to help them with the kids, and I knew like it takes a lot of sacrificing, but I don't think I understood the kind of sacrifice till I was in that position.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Because
that's
now it's your
yeah.
like baby 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah, like I can't just be like, hey, come pick her up. Like
yeah.
I'm tired, or like I'm having a mental breakdown. Can you like come get her? Like no, you have to just take a deep breath and move on with the day and just be the best you could be.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, Clarissa, that I very much like to take on things on my own, and I don't like to ask for help. Me
Yeah.
asking for help is like, it's literally like pulling teeth. So I'm trying to resign to that and allow people to help me in any which way, or even just to, like my mom, for example, she'll want to visit and, oh, do you need this? Do you need that? Or can I take you this? Or whatever, right? She's offering her services to me. And I'm always like, no, I'm good. But now I'm like, okay, if I want to practice receiving help, then I'm gonna, okay, mom, yeah, come over and yeah, bring me the rice cooker, or yeah, bring me rice, or whatever it is, just to start getting into that rhythm of allowing people in. Because I do realize and I do acknowledge and see, other people that are parents or, have just a lot of things going on, that it's just, it does take a village.
Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, though, is to humble yourself enough to be like, all right, maybe I should ask for help, or maybe I should let so-and-so help me with this small thing. It's hard. It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, especially if if we've been conditioned and have this mindset of like, I
especially,
got this.
You've been independent now for so long, right? You moved out of the house. You're doing, you're married. You have your own life, and now it's just like, maybe I still do need help.
Yeah, and I think I'll even take it a little bit further. Clarissa, I don't know if you can relate. Let me know that when you're raised by a single mom, that independence is ingrained hard.
It's implemented you since the day you come out the womb.
Yeah, you do this
She's
on
like,
your own.
yeah, you can do it by yourself. You don't need a man, especially now. Like, she's like, you can look that up on YouTube. You don't need to like ask for help. So, I mean, it has its like pros and cons, because it did help me, be a little strong, a little more independent than a lot of people my age, I feel like. But also, I feel like the single mom uses a lot of like toxic masculinity in them, because they're like, I'm so independent, like I don't need help. And then that's when this barrier is created, and then that's when it's hard to kind of like take down that barrier and kind of learn that, like, let that feminine energy flow and be like, okay, like, you know what, I can't do this, can you do this for me?
Right. Or I can trust another woman,
Yeah.
or my mother or my aunt,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
cousins or whatever, to help me with this thing. That's so interesting that you say that, because I've recently come into this discovery myself, or realization on my maternal, right? Our moms, our grandmas and stuff like that, where there's a lot of how can I say this so I can be correct here, where the women in our family, Clarissa, just have had a lot of hurt and a lot of pain because of the men in their lives, our uncles or relatives and such. And there's this big stigma that's been put that, like, no, you do this on your own, you don't need no man, la 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 la. And so we carry this through. And so for me, I've had to sit and humble myself and realize, like, fuck, I've had this negative narrative about all of the men in our lives, and even my own dad and stuff like that, because of the conversations that I've heard my aunts have.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to get out of that and realize, like, my partner can be a good man. Why not? And not carry this narrative that has been placed on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Honestly, it's just the whole family. I feel like everyone's just had like bad experiences with men.
Right?
And, you know, like my grandpa has given my mom a bad experience on like a male father figure. He's given everyone, like my aunt, my uncle, that bad experience too. And that's where like that generational trauma I feel like came in. And it stemmed, you know, from my grandpa's dad because he was abusive and stuff, you know.
Right.
And the girls would witness like him beating on grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like obviously that took a toll, and then, you know, they kind of subconsciously look for that in a man.
Right.
So then, you know, right when they see their true colors, it's like, oh shit, like you're just like my father, you know?
And this is how that cycle
Yeah,
just kind of carries
that's that
through.
cycle, and it just keeps going and it keeps going.
When you say that, all that comes to mind is like I see the movie Coco and how there was generational trauma from the musician, and how every woman in the family like made sure that music was not a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know, that's just the picture that came to my mind. You know, when you have these generational traumas, it passes down and passes down. Well, who's gonna break that trauma?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's
Coming in hot,
right? and that's exactly what we've been witnessing on our end, and now it's this generation. You know, the millennials. A little bit of what's the generation before the millennials?
Boomers?
No, boomers is like
it's the in between.
way old.
It's like
Generation X.
Gen X, yeah, it's Gen X. So like Melina and Orlando, are my cousins, your uncle, your mom. It's that generation, Gen X, the millennials. You're Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
Gen Z. It's these three that have more or less started uncovering and unraveling. Like, oh shit, you know. My dad shouldn't be acting this way. He's stubborn as hell. Or, you know, my mom is this way because of the way that so-and-so treated her. But it all stems back to, well, my grandpa, what would that be? Your great-great?
No, just great-grandpa.
Great?
Yeah.
Just great-grandpa? Oh, yeah, your great-grandpa. Sorry, I'm like over here. Anyways, like the grandparents.
Figure out your tree, ladies. Come on now.
I know. It's also really hard to just balance or figure that out.
It's okay. She has pregnant brain.
Yeah, I'll let her slide. We know this, and everybody listening to this podcast knows this too.
So yeah, it's crazy to think that this one human being just 2 generations ago had a really big impact on all of our family and how all of that played out. And so now let's fast forward. You're a young parent again, right? What was the narrative and the conversations around you being pregnant from your mom, for example? Let's start there.
Well, obviously, you know, in the beginning, she was like, are you set with this? You know, you have options. Like, she wasn't supportive, but, you know, I had that already in the back of my mind because literally my whole life it was implemented like, you need to go to a university, a Cal State, like just go get your education. You need to do this, you need to do that. So I feel like I always had that expectation growing up because growing up I would be in like honors and AP, and I feel like, you know, when I reached to the point of like graduating, I kind of was a little burnt out. And I was like, I don't know if school's like it for me. And then when COVID happened, that's just everything but went like 180. I was like, holy shit, like, what's going on? Everything's online. And so I stopped going to school, and then, you know, that happened, and it's just like, you know, it was just crazy.
So then you get pregnant during the pandemic, and your mom's giving you options.
Yeah.
And so was she swaying you one way more than the other?
I mean, I feel like she knew. Obviously, I came to her like when it was too late. Like I waited the 12-week mark to finally tell her. Because I took that was my sign. I was like, if nothing happens before the 12 weeks, then obviously like this baby wants to stay. And then that'll be like, okay, like I'll let my mom know because that's my safe zone.
Right.
So she was just like, you know, at first she was hysterically crying. It was like so funny. I shouldn't have been laughing. It was like a more serious matter, but I was just like, oh yeah, mom, I'm pregnant. And she ran outside. Literally so dramatic. Gosh. This lady ran outside crying.
Did she feel like that you had ruined your life or something like that?
I think she was just scared, you know, because she had that toxic mentality of like being a single mom. She really pushed my dad out, and it affected me. Like my dad felt like he couldn't be around sometimes, and he was like, you know, I would try to have a say, but my mom's a very strong-headed woman. So she's like, if it's not my way, it's the highway. And she always told me since day one, it always just felt like me and her. Like my dad was kind of like the outcast. She just wanted it to be me and her.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, like years later, it's just that cycle. Where
Right.
she just has that toxic mentality.
And it's still like, it's just me and you.
Yeah.
And I just want what's
And
best for you.
Yeah, I want what's best for you. Like, you saw me struggle. You saw, like, I had to work 2, sometimes 3 jobs.
Because she was also, did she have you at the same age?
She was like a year younger. I was like a year older.
Okay.
But basically
So
the same age.
2021.
Yeah, she had me like right after high school.
So your mom's in her 40s then?
She's,
Yeah, she just
she's
turned
Ricky's-
40.
She's Ricky's age.
Wow.
Just about. And it's funny
Yeah.
because Clarissa's just about Alina's age. So it's just, I wish Ricky would have been here for this episode. Damn her. Ricky, if you're listening, we're pissed. But yeah, because I'm wondering too, like, what, and maybe Melina should have been here also, but Melina,
know,
if you're
she's
listening,
busy.
the next one, or now, well, she's fucking leaving too. But I'm wondering, like, if Melina, obviously I feel that Melina would have probably wanted to protect you in a sense because she struggled so much being a single parent and whatever issues she might have had with your dad or whatever it was, I'm sure she wanted to protect you from all of those things, right?
Yeah, and you know, as I got older, I started to understand, you know, because I started seeing these things, and like I'd have these conversations with my uncle, and he would tell me stuff about like my grandpa and just literally since like even before my mom came to this world, it's like she was shunned and like the outcast. Like my grandpa, he's done some pretty fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Like obviously we're older now. We've like, I guess, grown to like get over it, but
Healed a little bit.
healed a little bit. I don't know if my mom's healed.
Yeah.
But I know my grandma has, but he was gonna leave my grandma
Yeah.
while she was pregnant with my mom with some other girl. And so like now I understand, even like before she came to this world, she was already rejected by her dad.
Yeah.
So that put a lot into perspective, and like it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I love my mom, and I just know she's like this little fragile person, even though she puts up this like barrier of like, I'm strong, like I can do this by myself. It's like, I know that like little girl of yours inside is a little hurt sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
So you just want to love her inner
Yeah.
child, or you
You
just
know-
want to love her in general.
yeah, even though she makes it hard. Love her though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we have to love our
Yeah.
moms. Our moms would give anything for us at the end of the day. It doesn't matter, you know, you could have done whatever, you could have committed murder. Your mom would have probably helped you bury the body. You know what I mean? So shout out to the moms out there in the world. You know,
Yes,
They do a
I love
lot.
you moms. All the young moms, old moms,
I love
middle-aged
my mom.
moms.
Yeah.
Love them all.
all of that. Oh, that's beautiful. So, okay, what about I want to ask about your boyfriend's side of the family. Is he about your age?
Yeah, we're the same age.
Okay. Do you know how his parents reacted or what that was like?
They
Or what
were-
it still is like?
I mean, they're pretty laid back. They have 5 kids, so this was their 5th grandkid. They were just like, you
Okay.
guys need to be smart.
yeah.
Make sure you guys get your life together. You know?
Okay.
I mean, his mom was like, she shed some tears. She's like, you know, this is a big responsibility. And I'm like, I know what I'm kind of getting myself into, but I really didn't know till it happened. But I knew
Right.
it was just going to be like a change, a
Yeah.
big change.
Do you get a lot of help from them?
Yeah,
Your in-laws?
actually, they help me out as much as they can, especially his sister. His older sister, she helps a lot. She's like the favorite auntie. Like both her nieces love her.
Oh,
They're always going with auntie. Sometimes the baby doesn't even want me; she wants her auntie, and I'm cool with that.
that's good. Yeah, no, heck yeah. The more hands, the
Yeah.
better, right?
Definitely.
So, what has been for you the hardest thing? Like the hardest thing that you've endured the last 10 months?
I think just separating myself, definitely like trying to find my individualism,
Yeah.
because like I said, I can't just like do whatever I need to do. And I still feel like I'm young, so I was still already going through that individualism journey. And now like I added this little life that I have to take care of.
Yeah.
And I still need to figure myself out.
Right.
And then I'm also in a relationship, so sometimes that just gets overwhelming.
Right. Like, how do you find time for yourself?
Yeah.
And then how do you find time to be in a relationship?
Yeah.
and then also be a mom.
It's exhausting 24/7. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel bad because, you know, I have to work as well. So I just wish there was like more time in the day, honestly.
Yeah, that would probably help a
That
lot
would
of things.
solve all my problems if there was just more time in the day.
Now, when I was your age, I feel old even saying that. God. But when I was 21, like I felt like I was still searching for myself. Do you feel like you found yourself yet, or are you still on that journey of finding yourself while juggling all these things in your life?
I know I'm definitely going to be on this journey for a cool minute. I feel like I have an old soul, so I feel like I have a lot of stuff that I have to learn
Yeah.
in order to like really discover myself. But I feel like it's just that kind of journey where it's always like you're always just finding stuff. You know, it doesn't
Evolving.
matter. Yeah. Evolving and stuff. So yeah, I still feel like I am looking for myself.
Yeah, that's interesting. I too, and it's interesting because here we are 11 years older, a whole different generation, and I'm still like I'm still finding myself.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of unraveling and evolving because like you said, there's things and experiences that will happen to us at different times in our lives that will be mature in some areas and then super immature in other areas because we've either lacked the experience or we've blocked a certain thing in our lives, and so we don't acknowledge it until years later. So it's crazy to me. And I wanted to go back real quick and mention you were saying something about so your grandparents were about to split while, you know, Melina was in the womb, right? Your mom. And then I think like I've been reading this book, The Body Keeps the Score. Have you heard of that book?
No.
So it talks about trauma that we hold in the body, right? And there's this section in there that talks about how parents that are depressed and that are either they're pregnant or they're really young or whatever the kid is really young or whatever the case may be, that parent will likely have children that suffer from severe anxieties and depression and things like that. And so not to say that your mom has any of those things, but just to see our family tree and how anxious they are. Like I could even say my mom, I look at her and I'm like, I think my mom too had a little bit of a stage where she was depressed. And so I look at internally at myself, like I have a lot of anxiety. And so it's crazy how these generations, if we continue to go about the way that we have been, well, we're not going to change anything because, well, we don't even have the capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. No, especially because, oh my God, I lost my train of thought for a second. Oh my God. I was going to say something and it just flew out of my brain.
It's okay. It's being a mom, right? We're tossing this excuse around back and forth.
Yeah, I still have mom brain 10 months later. It's a thing, guys.
But
in your recent experience with becoming a mom, what would you say? What would you say your experience has taught you as far as like what's your greatest strength?
It's definitely made me better at like trying to multitask because before I couldn't even do like one thing. I get so overwhelmed. I don't know. And it's probably because I feel like I'm an anxious person too. So I feel like that just, now I'm starting to juggle a little more. And I feel like it's making me like manage my time a little better.
Yeah.
It's getting me out of my comfort zone for sure, which I think is good because sometimes I notice I get too comfortable and Indy just makes sure she's like, no,
yeah,
you're gonna get out of your comfort zone and you're just gonna help me out. So.
Right.
And in that same respect, what would you say in your experience, you know, being a mom, what has revealed itself as your greatest weakness?
I feel like it's just like society's standards on motherhood. I feel like that's the hardest thing that I go through every day. Especially being a young mom because you have all these expectations.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be like having a good paying job or like just being like a superhuman in a way where you just like can balance everything. And sometimes it gets exhausting. Sometimes trying to juggle everything and then you like you beat yourself up about it because you're like, I could get this done right now. Like, I should get this done. I have so much shit to do.
Yeah.
And it's already like Friday.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely like society standards on what moms need to do or what they should do.
How much of a role do you think social media plays in that?
Oh my gosh, so much. Like, I catch myself comparing myself to other women sometimes, and I'm like, girl, you need to relax. Like, you're in a different position in your life. You can't compare yourself like that. And I feel like it's also like triggered some body dysmorphia after having the baby because my body has changed. My hips got bigger.
Yeah.
Because I was like 20 when I had her, so I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
And now I'm in my womanhood body, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it, you know, especially when these women post like, oh, look at me just 1 week after or 2 weeks postpartum. And I was like, I'm still in my diaper and I'm still like really fugly.
Right.
Why do you look this good?
Yeah.
So honestly, it's body dysmorphia. I feel like that's always been an issue with me, but especially after having the baby, it's been really hard sometimes.
Well, yeah, and talk about body dysmorphia. We as women go through this throughout our lives, just of our changing bodies and being youthful all the time. You know, you want to look 21 when you're 50, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're 30 or 40 or 50 and your body's changing, and then there we go having plastic surgery or whatever because we want to sustain our youth and our I don't know, our 15-year-old bodies that don't even exist or whatever.
It's the same for guys too, though, because like but in like I go to the gym 5 times a week and I am all sculpted and cut and look at me kind of thing. Like you see that all over social media as a guy, and I'm just like, you know, it makes me feel that same way.
I never thought about that.
Absolutely.
Partly. Oh my gosh.
It's the same. It's not just a female thing. It's guys have the same thing, but it's on a much. I would say it's on a much lower level.
Yeah.
Like it's not as in my face every day as it would be in your face. You know, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. Absolutely.
I could see that because now you have like these built men with their chiseled abs, and they have like this fucking broccoli for dinner or whatever it is.
Let me show you my meal prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
And then they have like the hot body girlfriend too, and it's just like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
Where the fuck do you guys come from?
What planet you live on?
Right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it like that. Or on your, on the male's perspective. Interesting. Very interesting.
I feel like gym culture for male is very toxic because they have all these expectations. Like, I know guys come in different shapes and sizes just like us. We come in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at this PR I just did. Oh, my personal record.
That's so crazy.
Look how much I can lift. Look how much I could bench press. Like, I don't give a shit.
So the dad bod isn't really a thing then.
No, dad bod is awesome and should be
more highlighted.
Absolutely.
Dad bods are comfy for babies too.
Wow. Well, it's society is really shitty, and social media. We've been talking about social media for the last couple of episodes here, and it does put a big damper on your soul and your being because you're doing your best. And it's already hard humaning, doing your day-to-day. And then you have your social media that's telling you otherwise. You're not doing enough, clearly. What about, okay, so social media is one thing. What about personally in your social life? So assuming you have friends, I know we were talking about Bumble and all of these friends things. How have your friendships changed?
I feel like I still kind of have the same group of friends. Obviously, my circle has gotten really small. Actually, when I found out I was pregnant, a couple of like close friends, I'm gonna put that in quotes, close friends, they weren't very supportive of my decision. So they're being very negative about it. So I literally like blocked him that day. I was like, you know what? Obviously, this is a sign.
Yeah.
You guys are being very like not generous with me at all. Like I'm in this vulnerable state already. Like it's already a tough decision making it. So I didn't have support from them. And it's hard juggling friends. Like I actually just had someone call me just to check up on me. Like, hey, how have you been? Because honestly, I have been a shitty friend lately.
Yeah.
And it's just hard because I'm just so occupied all the time, you know? It's hard to turn off that mom brain sometimes. Like, I think the last time I saw my friends was my birthday because they made it a point to come to my house, which was nice.
And your birthday was in January,
Yeah,
right? And we're
mid-January.
now late
in
March.
March, yeah.
Okay.
And I barely see my friends. It's hard.
Yeah. So the friends when you came to them with this situation that you had, that hey, you guys, I'm pregnant, they were quick to react and let you know that that was not okay.
Yeah, one of them told me she was just like, oh, like, you know, this decision you're making is so stupid. Like, you look at like your mom's situation, you're literally throwing your life away. And I had like another friend, she was like upset because, you know, we're barely getting our 20s, and she's like, oh, what about us going to party and stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about partying, bro. We're in a pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
going
oh,
nowhere.
I'm not going anywhere. So, you know, things come to light, things shed to light. And I feel like it was a situation that needed to come and shed to light, because those are the type of people I don't want around me, and especially around my daughter.
Right. You don't need those people.
Yeah, I don't need those people.
Oh, and I'm sorry that you went through that, but it's, again, like, it had to come to light.
Yeah.
You didn't need them, and all for good reason.
Exactly.
You know, it's in two of my best friends got pregnant around 2021, and as supportive as I wanted to be, it's interesting because it does, you know, you become a parent and your priorities do shift, and you don't have time for your friends anymore, and you have this child that needs to care for you and love you and all of these things. I had a friend that 2021, she had her baby. I was there, blah, blah, blah. And then as the years went on, obviously, like, I wasn't pregnant. I didn't have a baby. And so it was really hard for me and her to relate or to even hang out, right? So we started drifting apart. Da, 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 da. And years later, like, I'm talking a couple months ago, her husband reaches out to me, sends me a DM, and he goes, hey, I don't know what happened between you and so, but, you know, I knew that you guys were really good friends, and you know, I don't exactly know what the words were, but he was basically saying, like, you were a good friend to her. I think she misses you. Like, it would be cool, like, if you guys hung out again. And so that kind of left me like, oh shit, I didn't even think to, or that anything was wrong, or I was curious about why he would even bring that up, because there was no hard feelings. We just kind of drifted apart a little bit.
But I think that's kind of natural when when your friends start to have kids and you don't, like, speaking from experience, when your friends start to have kids and you don't, you know, being a parent is a 24-hour day job, period. Like, there's no, you think there's sleep involved. There's not. You know, the kids wake up in the middle of the night. That's part of your job. So, you know, the time that you do have, you don't want to go out and you know, party and hang out with your friends. You want to try to catch up on some sleep, you know, that you were robbed of, or, you know, or
self-care.
That's self-care, right? Or something's going on with your kid, and your kid is always taking your attention. So naturally, I would say it's not like you guys drifting apart. It's like, you know, she's got a baby to take care of, and you don't.
Right.
So naturally, you're gonna you know, deviate. You're gonna deviate from each other.
Exactly.
And, like, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's gonna happen, Natalie. Like, you're gonna have friends that, you know, don't have kids, or have kids that are older that can maybe stay at home and watch themselves.
Right.
And you're gonna be at home with a newborn.
Right.
And there's gonna be that deviation. So, like, that's just natural. I mean, but hopefully, like, you know, you have those friends that will come back and check in and say, hey, how you doing? That's
Yeah, and it's definitely true for my group of friends that a lot of them have kids that are 10, 12 years old now. And so even then, these friends I've been able to pick back up from, you know, years later, or or they became my friends just as their kids were a little more independent and things like that. So yeah, I can definitely see that shift. I don't know what my point was exactly for that conversation. But it is interesting that life just, takes a turn and you go through these phases and seasons of friendships and just a general life change.
Yeah, because I remember when Rachel and I, got our kids, everything changed. And we naturally deviated from a lot of the things we were doing because it's not like, okay, now we have 2 kids to take care of.
Yeah.
And
it's not as easy to just walk up and get going.
It's not like, oh yeah, let's go have dinner with our friends. Now we got to take our kids with us.
Yeah.
And they're causing a ruckus in the restaurant. And are you really like spending quality time with your friends? No, you're kind of like trying to get your kids to behave kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Clarissa, what do you find that... So I assume, when you have a kid and you try to get back out there in society, you try to figure out like, okay, how do I function with a child? What has been like the wildest thing you've done in public with your kid? Or just that like, oh, fuck, I can't believe I did this, or that I didn't, or that I couldn't, or could have?
I don't know. I feel like I don't really have embarrassing moments now because I really don't care. Like, I will whip my boob out. I will change her. I'll do whatever I need to do. She vomit all over my shirt. I'll walk around with vomit on my shirt. Like,
I gotta do what I gotta do, y'all.
I gotta do what I gotta do. Like, this baby is just here. She needs my love and attention. She needs my care. So I don't think I did anything really wild. And I think the wildest thing was her like taking a massive shit at Target, and I had to like get clothes from the rack real quick and like change her up. And then I was like, here, I'm paying for this.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I think that's scary. Like crazy. But yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm such
mom life.
Yeah.
I know. It literally had to happen the day that I one time forgot her diaper bag. She decides to have a shit explosion in her pants. I was just like, wow. Of course this would happen. Of course. But
talk about lessons learned, right? Like
you can never be over prepared.
Yeah. I'll have to keep that in mind for when I decide to get out into Target. Let me not forget the diaper bag.
Yeah, don't forget the diaper bag. Clarissa, let me ask you this. If you could give a word of advice or encouragement to someone who is in your situation now, like a young mother or a young person who's just found out they're pregnant, what advice would you give them?
Advice? Oh my gosh, there's so much pressure. I don't know. I guess just like kind of listen.
And I'm not trying to, put you on the spot or make you feel under pressure, but like you have this new life experience, and
I guess just definitely take it day by day, live in the present, because that's what this, I feel like, has taught me what to do like the most is just be present, because I don't need to be stressed about the past. I don't need to be stressed about the future. I don't need like added shit on me already. I just need to be present. I need to make sure that I'm here myself, like I'm present mentally and physically, because I also have to be present for Indigo.
Yeah.
So, you need that clear headspace. You need to be like, I guess, like that stronger person,
Yeah. Kind of let go of all of the expectations that everyone has about you.
You just have to do you at the end of the day. People are going to everyone's going to have their opinions. Everyone's going to have their comments. They're going to be like, you should do it this way. You should do it that way. Oh, you're making a terrible decision for your life. Like, at the end of the day, it's affecting you. It's your life. You got to do what you got to do, but definitely just live in the moment and be present.
Yeah. Especially, like you said, now you have this child, be present for them.
Yeah.
And close everything out.
Yeah.
Else out. Everything negative, at least.
I mean, you can't help it. Negativity's here, just like positivity. But as long as you're trying your best.
I feel that. Well, thank you, Clarissa, again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This was fun.
This was so fun.
I definitely want to have you back between Ricky, myself, and Bartley. I know that we mentioned it an episode before or so. about massage therapy stories. And since you're a massage therapist, we definitely want to have you back to talk about all of that. So, have your phone, prepared and look at your calendar. And if Indy lets you, we can have you on again so we can talk about more fun stuff.
I'm excited. Oh, yeah, I'll come. You're my cousin.
Yeah,
It's
appreciate you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And so typically when we have a guest on, we like to ask if our guest has any book recommendations, anything that inspires you, a quote, any reference that has helped you prevail within your own frequency that you'd like to share with our listeners.
All right. So I guess this is more for just like the people in my shoes, the young mommies that kind of want to let go of that generational curse. I got the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. It kind of helps put a lot in perspective, because I feel like a lot of people have that victim mentality, victim blaming, and it shifts you out of that. And you're just like, okay, like now I'm thinking logically on like why my mom and dad did this or why this happened. So.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to have to pick that one up. Thank you for that.
Amazon, guys. I know. I don't like supporting Jeff Bezos, but it's easy.
Yeah, you can get it there. Okay. Thank you for that. And lastly, what has been one of your favorite episodes?
The body shaming for sure. Because I feel like you said, as a woman, we always go through social standards of what we need to look like,
right?
And then we have our moms telling us what we can and can't wear,
right? Making us feel even more insecure.
Making me feel even more insecure.
Okay, I feel that a lot. Well, thank you for that. Let's see. So now that Ricky's not here, I'm all over here discombobulated. Bartley, help me out. Where are we?
Make sure to leave a review.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure to leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also support us by donating some coffee. You go to buymeacoffee.com/onthisfrequency. And this week's episode is brought to you by Rose City Sound with executive producer Big Brother Jake from the Big Brother Jake podcast and produced and edited by Juicebox Bartley. Keep in touch and send us your topic ideas at onthisfrequency@gmail.com. Meow, meow, meow. Increase the peace, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Meow.
Love it.